Welcome to Moving the Needle, the podcast packed with digital marketing strategies crafted exclusively for med spas. If you're looking to draw in more patients, grow your revenue, and level up your business, you're in the right place. This show is your inside track to scaling smarter. Get ready to glow up and get your injection of med spa marketing strategies with your host, Chris Fink.
Welcome back to Moving the Needle, the show where we help med spa owners learn what actually drives patient bookings and not just web traffic. If you're planning for next year and wondering how much should I budget for digital marketing in 2026, this episode might be for you. So we're going to turn some facts and we're going to get some math over mystery, facts over feelings. We're going to dive into some real numbers and not just fluff. And in this one, I'm going to talk about what most clinics actually spend on SEO and PPC websites and social. Also, how to budget based on revenue and goals. What's changing in 2025 and 2026 that could impact your strategy. And how to build a smart, flexible budget that actually delivers ROI. All right, let's dive in. So, question that I hear constantly is, how much should I spend? And the big question is, what percent of revenue should I be spending? I mean, the dollars are dollars, but what's the percentage of revenue that you should be allocating towards your digital marketing campaign? And as an industry standard, we usually expect to see somewhere between a 5 and 15% of total gross annual revenue as their marketing budget. So in this example, for example, if you have annual revenue of $250,000, well, that means that your annual budget for the year at $5,000 should be about $12,500. At 10%, $25,000. At 15%, $37,500. If you're doing $1 million in revenue, then at 5%, you should have an annual budget of $5,000 or $50,000. Apologize, 5 would be great. $50,000, $100,000 at a 10% budget, and 15% would equal about $150,000 annually. So why the range between 5%, 10%, 15%? You're going to want to spend more if you're in a competitive market, if you're launching new services or locations, and if you need to fill treatment rooms fast to fulfill that capacity. You can spend less if you're fully booked. You've got like a 2-week waiting period, a 3-week booked out period. If you're focused more on retention than acquisition, or you dominate a low competition area, if you happen to be a place where there aren't 15 med spas within a mile of you, then you can be in a position where you go closer to that 5 or 10%. So now, what are the things that you should budget for the rest of this year and into next year? SEO is a long game. It builds trust, rankings, and organic leads over time, and those leads typically have a lower cost per lead as this cumulative effect takes hold. So you're going to want to expect to spend between $1,500 and $5,000 a month for SEO, depending on your situation, what your needs are, the breadth and scope of your practice, and your demographics. So the things that influence costs, are you targeting multiple services, multiple cities? How competitive is the market? Again, are there 15 med spas within a mile of you, or are you the only one in your general county? And do you want to publish regular content and build a backlink strategy? One-time SEO doesn't work. You need monthly execution. If somebody tells you that they're going to do one-time SEO for you, keep your money. Just don't do it. You need monthly execution. You need constant blog posts and content generation, service page builds and optimizations. You need a link building campaign to generate those trust signals. You need a Google business profile optimization and consistent management of that. It needs to be ongoing. And reviews and citation management. And if you are in a city with 10 plus competing med spas, it's likely that you're going to be closer to that $3,500 to $5,000 monthly SEO budget in order to win and get the rankings, get the traffic, and get the patient opportunities. Now, for paid ads, or commonly referred to as PPC, Google ads, Meta ads, even TikTok, they deliver speed, but speed has a cost, right? Like, you're always going to pay more to get it now. So the typical monthly PPC budget is going to be anywhere really between 1,000 and 10,000. But breaking that down, on average, if you had a $2,500 monthly PPC budget, you would probably expect to have about 1,000 as a management fee, and then 1,500 as the ad spend, and that's what you pay directly to those Google, Facebook, TikTok, etc. So if you had, as an example, a $7,000 monthly budget, then you would expect your management fee to be closer to 1,500 and your ad spend to be 5,500. So you're paying for, in the PPC campaigns, you're paying for both the platform, which is Google, Meta, and the team or the expert to manage the campaigns. And the campaigns are super important. They require constant attention. And here's the thing, bad ads and bad campaigns equal wasted budget. So you set that $7,000 budget and you're trying to put it all towards ad spend, and you have a terrible team or somebody that doesn't have just the depth of knowledge necessary to execute a high-level strategy efficiently, you're going to waste a lot of money. Wasted budget. Most DIY setups waste 40% or more of their budget on irrelevant clicks that are not the right audience, not the right services, not the right targets. And if you're not using landing pages, you're not using call tracking, you're burning money. So setting up the PPC campaign correctly, not just in Google Ads, but the entirety of the campaign, needs to be done properly. And then you get the maximum ROI. After that, if you're getting, half of the return, that's a lot of revenue blown. So now the other thing is that your website, there are costs involved with having a website, and your website itself is the digital front door of your med spa. You certainly know this, you've heard this. The question is that front door like a broken old one-hinge screen door, or is it a luxury storefront? So to build a properly optimized website that's built for conversions, capturing patient opportunities, you can do this. You can have websites built one time or annualized fees, but typically they're going to range anywhere between $3,000 and $15,000, depending again on how many services you have, what the size and scope of your practice is. So in the wide range, well, why a wide range? You can do the DIY templates, right? You can go onto Wix or onto places, get a template and get a website cheap. And you can get one up cheap. And it will be cheap, and you'll have poor conversions. So that's the downside. You'll have a presence, but it won't be optimized, and you'll have poor conversions as a result. A custom design site is more expensive. Typically, you're going to experience a higher ROI with that. So that's the benefit. And if you set up your booking and CRM integration into the site, pricier, but game changer. You make it easy for people to get into your system. And if you have professional copy, professional branding, you have SEO baked into that website, that's going to put you at the higher end, and it's going to be worth every penny because it's going to pay off. So the bottom line is this: you can't run $5,000 a month in ads and send people to a $500 DIY site. It's kind of like buying a big fancy digital billboard advertising for your next vacation destination and pointing to a tent. It's not really going to get the results that you're hoping to get. So now in the next set of that, in the site itself, content and creative budget, that's something that you're going to want to plan for. So typical content budget, again, it's a pretty wide range. It can range anywhere between $750 to $5,000 a month. And it's going to depend on how often you publish, whether you need video, design, editing, production, etc. And if the content is bundled into SEO, social, or email services. Having variations of all those will be important. So one thing I can just encourage you to do, don't treat content as an afterthought. It fuels everything else. Your SEO, your ads, your emails, all the on-page, off-page signals, all of it. So take it seriously. It really has a high value, even though it often kind of gets treated like the stepchild that nobody wants to mess with. Now, organic social media is a whole nother channel that does require some budgeting. Even if your social doesn't drive all your leads, it does build trust, proof, personality, brand authority. Patients will search for a med spa near me in Google or in the AEOs, but then they often will check your Instagram or your Facebook for proof. They'll look for images, before and afters. What does your place look like? Who are your providers? They'll look at those things before they book. And as we come into 2026 with AEO or answer engine optimization, the AIs, the Geminis, ChatGPTs, Cloud Perplexity, etc., they are using some of the social brandings as kind of like branding support, right, and validation. So they're looking at that as a supporting signal. So typically, when it comes to budgeting, which is what I'm trying to get through here, is if you're doing an organic social campaign, you're probably going to spend somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000 a month. A solid plan would include like 3 to 5 branded posts per week, some reels and short form videos, comment and inbox replies, reporting, and engagement growth. So the goal isn't just likes, it's trust. Now, again, likes and trust don't pay the bills, but they are on the journey towards that. So the more likes that we get, the more brand authority we get and followers, and we're supporting those LLM answer machines. That's going to be a plus as it moves forward. So it's part of an omnipresent strategy. And what we practice here is what I call an omnipresent strategy, which means anywhere that your potential patient is looking, be there. Be there first, be there well, be there with excellence. And if we can do that, then you're going to win, and your wins in each channel are going to increase as a percentage. So 3 ways that you can build your budget for the rest of 2025 or 26. You saw the line items, and we talked about those. So how do we put it together? The classic strategy would be a percentage of revenue. So take 10% of your revenue and distribute it across the services that I mentioned. So SEO, PPC, organic social, organic email campaigns, content generation. Spread it across those, and then let's say you wanted to hit $1 million in revenue, and your average service is 2,000. Well, then we need 500 bookings, right? So if we work it backwards, how many bookings, how many leads do we need that actually turn into a booking? What's the conversion rate, and which channels deliver the best conversion rates? And then that's where we're going to stick that budget. So now another option is if you have a little bit more insight on these and you have a little bit of tracking, you can go with the 70-20-10 rule, which is stick 70% of your budget to what's working, 20% to new opportunities, and 10% to just wild tests. It could be influencers or, some weird TikTok thing or a Pinterest channel, but 10% to something just completely experimental, and 20% to new opportunities, 70% to things that are working. What's changed in 2025 and what's changing in 26? You can't really build a static budget for a dynamic environment, right? So here's what's shifting. AI ads, so Performance Max and Meta Advantage Plus, they're all automating creative and targeting. And video rules are changing for things like Reels, TikToks, and Shorts for attention getting. Also, Google's algorithm is smarter. It's getting smarter. Search is not going away. No matter how many AI, LLMs, things like that show up in social channels, search is still a commanding part of the traffic that you're getting. So as the algorithm gets smarter, your content has to be better. Not just longer, not just more words, not spun up in one of the chat GPTs or whatever, but content that's unique, helpful, authoritative, and that you're putting it out there and optimized for all these channels. And you also need to be mindful of privacy laws as they are changing. Tracking and attribution, first-party data matter more than ever. So having a solution in place to address those, super important. And just make sure that however you set up these different campaigns, stay nimble, stay flexible. Don't set and forget. It is the worst thing that you could do this year. So, and that leads to the question like, okay, well, as I come up with this budget, Chris, should I lock it in? No, you should not lock it in for the year. You should review it quarterly, adjust based on performance. So best practices, track your ROI or your return on investment by channel. Meet with your agency or your partner monthly, and give feedback on not just, don't accept these vanity metrics like, hey, we got you a whole bunch of visits. Great. Did any of them turn into a patient? Did any of them book? When they don't show you the whole funnel, then you don't know that, and now you're flying blind, and you're just like, okay, well, it looks great. Yeah, we saw an increase in visits, and super cool. That's fun, but I'm still going broke. I don't understand why. The why is because it's not going all the way through the funnel, and they're not sharing that with you. So get clarity and visibility on that, and then give them feedback like, yes, you drove, we got 100 leads come from Google Ads, and 2 of them turned into an appointment. That's not great. We had 100 leads come from SEO, from our Google business profile, and we got like 60 appointments. That's pretty cool. Let's do that. More of that, please. And then fix what's broken on the other end. But you need those conversations. You need to close that loop and provide the feedback and have those discussions monthly. Cut what isn't working, double down on what is. And then ask for transparency in all things. You're the client, so ask for what you want to know and then demand answers. And if you don't get clear answers, then it means that they might not know the answers. In some cases, there's not a clear answer, but there's usually a lot closer to what you're looking for than you often get. So just push for that. Just push for complete visibility and transparency, and dig into the numbers and make them explain them, and then ask good questions. So I guess the final steps here are, whether you're a brand new med spa or you're scaling a 7-figure or multi-7-figure clinic, a smart budget is what turns marketing from a cost, from an expense, into an investment engine. So if you want help building a custom budget for your practice based on your services, goals, and markets, then reach out. Schedule a strategy call with me, and either myself or my team will get on a call. We'll take a look at what you've got going on, what's working, what's not, what we recommend. We'll try to point you in the right direction. If you want to take that information and run with it and try to execute it yourself, bless. Hope you have the wildest success possible with it. And if you're looking for a partner to do it for you, that you trust, that gives you that transparency and that visibility, and knows how to execute an omnipresent campaign for a medical spa specifically, then consider us to move forward. We'll have a conversation about what that would look like. I hope you got a lot of value and benefit out of this, and I hope it kind of pulls the curtain back and shows you how to plan out budgeting for your med spa, for all the digital marketing tactics. And if you have questions, reach out. And don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, join our Facebook group, shoot me a DM. Would love to be part of the conversation and love to be part of the solution. So until the next episode, have a great day.